Hello, it's Vicky Blackwell, child and adolescent psychotherapist on behalf of Community Foster Care. I was hoping to talk to you a little bit more today about shame, something we speak a lot about, but I often find with foster carers, the true deep understanding of shame is a little bit vague, and hopefully from this we'll have a deeper understanding of how it affects children who are looked after, our children that live with us. So as a description, shame could be described as an overwhelming and painful sense of not being good enough, particularly when compared to other groups and society. It's a very social emotion. It's connected to where we fit in the world, or where we think we fit in the world. As a feeling, Barine Brown, a shame researcher and expert, I would say, describes shame as being the swampland of the soul, the dark, the gritty, the secretive, dark place that we don't often talk about in our social circles. It's too painful, it's too shameful. Shame is too shameful. Personally, I would describe it as a very painful and powerful feeling that can instantly drain us of every bit of confidence, self-love, self-respect, pride and power. So much so it can instantly make you squirm and shrivel into a smaller being. All of a sudden, in compared to the world out there, we're feeling very small and vulnerable. The feeling can be so powerful and painful that we almost paralyse and freeze then when we're faced with a social scene or walking into a social scene. We can feel that's like it's really hard work when we're feeling a shame attack or the shame feeling to walk into that social scene carrying that horrible feeling. So if pride is I'm doing good and people can see how well I'm doing, then shame is I'm doing bad or I am bad and the world knows I'm not good enough. Although shame is often hidden and a secret, I found that many of the children that I've worked with have some deep-rooted shame feelings going on, whether they admit them or not. I think we need to recognise that these children's families, their birth families, have been already judged by the system of authority or society as not being good enough, and their inner working model or their self-belief system will be constantly questioning, am I good enough for this world? My family have been judged not to be for some reason. They've had interventions on various different levels that suggest that they're not good enough. And where do I fit into this, and where do I fit into the world? And then of course, if there's been a lack in the early life, then perhaps there's some behaviours that are seen as not as acceptable perhaps in school or in the family home, and they might be a bit dysregulated and find ways to meet their needs in negative ways because this is what they've been taught. And of course this then reinforces the message, especially when they're getting told off, that they're not good enough. So every time a child may dysregulate at school and cause problems, they get told off, see, I'm not good enough. Every time they express or release their shame, which often comes out as rage, they hate themselves, they throw that out at everybody, they express that, and then of course, I've done something really bad, I've hurt the people around me, I must be bad, there I go again, I must be bad. There's the shame feeling, but I'm proving to myself that I'm not good enough. It's very sad. And we need to help them heal with this, and we need to really help them understand that shame is a feeling, and their experiences, even though are shaming in some ways, are their experiences not necessarily them. They can be different from them experiences, and also really understand the depth of that shame feeling to say, oh, that's that shame feeling again, it's taken over you. You can call it the shame monster, as long as you recognise that that's what's going on for them. Usually every time they're told off, the reaction will be a shame reaction. I can probably guarantee that. Instead of accepting and saying, oh yes, I've made a mistake, you'll often find there's a projection of something that they don't want to feel back onto you, and that usually comes out quite negatively, and I can guarantee that is shame. So understanding this shameful feeling, we can be more compassionate towards it, but I think helping them recognise that it is a feeling, because the way shame makes you feel is that you're actually flawed, there's something wrong with you, but that isn't actually the truth, that is the feeling. But of course we've got to separate those feelings from those experiences, because they become so enmeshed. So I'm hoping from this there is a little bit more insight with regards to what shame is and what it feels like, and hopefully people can think about that and maybe recognise it in themselves and others. So good luck.